Opinion poll comes out today from the Essential Media Organisation that is horrible reading for Anthony Albanese. Now, I think that things will obviously change depending on where events go in the next couple of weeks. But how's this? Preferred Prime Minister among Labor voters is... Albo doesn't even have 45% of support among Labor voters. He's got between 25 and... he's got 57% of people who say anyone but Albo at this point in time. Overall, your preferred Prime Minister is Scott Morrison, 52, Albanese, 24, don't know, 24. Again, we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but you would imagine that that's reflective of an awful lot of people talking about how Albo is cooked. But when you don't even have a quarter of your own people backing you in, that's the problem, isn't it?
Well, it's certainly a huge problem for him, but, to take a longer view, clearly Labor, when it lost the last election, an unloseable election seemingly, the party had to confront major structural problems that on social values it's seen by many working people now as sneering about those who love their country, support traditional Australian values, who don't buy into fluidity and identity politics. That's a huge problem for Labor. And then an even bigger problem is the working people, particularly if you're in mining and manufacturing, who know for a fact Labor is putting environmental issues ahead of job security, their livelihood, food on the table, a roof over their head, the education of their children. That Labor is not with the worker. And Albanese can walk around saying, I'm on your side as many times as he's like, but it's not convincing anyone. He hasn't faced up to any of those structural issues. On the economic front, Joel Fitzgibbon, I suppose, has been a voice trying to confront some of those problems, although he's sort of had a checkered history in this particular space. And on the sneering at working people and their social values, Labor's just right off the radar. When that WA senator said that Australia Day is a celebration of white supremacy, the insult to working people who love their country is just so manifest. I mean, these are major problems that won't be resolved by slogans or publicity campaigns or tours through regional Queensland, and Albanese hasn't confronted any of them, and Labor just continues to bleed on both those fronts.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, Nicholas, where I've always argued that the bushfires were a false low, pandemic high is a false high. But, everyone wants to sort of ignore the fact that, Albo doesn't have Shorten's problem. If you can't get your people on board, not even a quarter of total people believe that Albo is there, and it's only, 42% of Labor voters that say he's there. That's the problem, right? If you can't get your people to fire up at this time, when theoretically halfway through a political cycle, the government should be at its most unpopular. This is when all the tough, terrible stuff is happening. That story doesn't write itself anytime soon.
Well, look, the starting point of your analysis is correct. In politics, it's never as bad as it seems at the time, and it's never as good as it seems when you're on that high. And so your analysis involving the bushfires and the pandemic is right. Of course, the continuation of that is that we are still very much in this pandemic, and while the vaccine is being rolled out, while you've still got a lockdown here in Victoria and outbreaks happening around the country periodically, we are still very much in that crisis mode, and that is very much going to help the Prime Minister of the day. Now, in saying that, I'm not actually trying to take anything away from Scott Morrison. I'm just saying the reality of the political dynamic at the moment is that it very much suits the Prime Minister, and it very much works against Anthony Albanese. Now, Anthony Albanese has been in politics a long time. He's a very good political operator. He's also a very good bloke, and when he can get clear air and let his personality get out and let some of Labor's policies come out, then I think you'll see his numbers improve.
Now, by the way, Rita, are you noticing, can we just show a two-shot of Rita and Nick, please? Rita, do you think that Nick has learnt the successful political strategy of Joe Biden, which is just to go into the basement? It looks like he's in the basement of that house. Are you in the Biden planning room, mate?
He won't emerge again.
Look, I'm actually in the study here at home, and I wish I could turn the camera around because I could show you the whole bookshelf, the whole shelf I've got there of Mark Latham books.
Good.
As a young man growing up, of course, I was a voracious reader of Mark's writing and a great follower of him as a young social democrat growing up. And so that's why, sometimes on this Tuesday night I get pretty emotional because when I hear those tired tropes from Mark, where he sort of creates these false dichotomies about it's either the environment or jobs, like as if that's how the world really works. It saddens me more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider myself a great friend of Mark's, and I do think, being the incredibly smart bloke that he is, that he will ultimately come back to being a social democrat.
He's not Kylo Ren, for God's sake. Relax.
But anyway, so yeah, it's a bit of sweet.
Why didn't you nominate me for the political award, you dickhead? Why, how did I miss the award? If you think all that about me, I should have been top of the podium there.
Well, Mark,
you're trying to